Welcome everybody to Halloween Week. This is going to be a new segment where I'm going to be reviewing a different horror movie from every significant decade. So, with that said, I am the Riddler, I'm dressed like him, and today we're going to be looking at one of my favorite old horror movies, Dracula, from 1931. Now, this movie was directed by Tom Browning and stars Bela Lugosi as Dracula. This movie has a lot of significance because it is actually the second Dracula movie ever made, the first being Nosferatua, released in 1912. 1912, yes, about 1912. I'm not doing this one because the one I'm reviewing now falls the story closer and is my personal favorite. Now, I have been a long-time fan of the Dracula mythos because I have actually read the original Bram Stoker novel, which I highly recommend you guys check out. If any of you guys are really into like horror books or just suspenseful stories, I highly recommend this because it's a very, very compelling read. And it's not super scary. Well, it might be to some people. I mean, I personally didn't get scared off it, but it's just an amazing story and very well written. Check it out. So, back to 1931 Dracula. Now, this movie being from 1931, obviously it is very old, but it is one of those old classics that still holds up from a modern perspective. It's black and white, obviously, and for a black and white movie, it looks amazing. This is definitely one of theirs, while they were doing their Monster Fest timeline, is definitely one of the best looking. The black and white looks very nice, and it really helps the mood. Now, let me get something straight. If you're gonna go into this expecting like a gory, insane, just balls to the wall, jump scare fest, you're not going to get that. Not even close. Basically what this movie is, it's actually very quiet, and there's actually very little music. The only significant amount of music you really get is in the intro where it plays Swan Lake. But I honestly think that really works to the film's advantage because it's very it is very subtle and it is very suspenseful. Bela Lugosi is Hungarian, and he only learned English for the roles he played on screen. The rhythm and accent of his voice, therefore, has actually become the staple for which Dracula talks. He actually set the image for Dracula. He had the cape, the teeth, the brainwashing, the slick back hair, everything. He is Dracula, and he was so committed to it, he was actually buried in the Dracula cape. Creepy, am I right? Anyway. He set the image, and in my opinion, he is the best Dracula ever. He had the right look, he had the right voice, and he had the right subtlety. Many Draculas came after him, but in my opinion, he is still the best, and he will never be matched. No Dracula is ever going to match what he did. Some may have gone close, but none have ever truly mastered what he did. His subtlety, his voice, it's all perfect. So, as you could tell, I'm a really big fan of this movie. Something I will say, though, is it differs heavily from the book. Very heavily from the book. Actually, most Dracula movies differed heavily from the book. The only one that was close to the book was Bram Stoker's Dracula from '98 that stars Gary Oldman. Or was it 2004? I'll find out. But basically, it was much closer to the book, like very, very close to the book, except for some areas, and some people consider that the best Dracula movie, and I say it's the second best, because despite how close it is to the book, and despite how really, really nice the scenery is, Gary Oldman just didn't have Bela Lugosi's voice or subtlety. It just wasn't the same. You know, it didn't quite have the atmosphere to it either. Although it did look nice, it didn't have that build-up and that slow pacing and that just intense atmosphere. But it's still a very good movie, and I do recommend that one, especially if you're a fan of the novel, which I myself am personally, obviously. But if you're a fan of the novel and you want a close adaptation, go for that one. But if you want a truly, truly captivating Dracula movie, I definitely say go for this one. It's suspenseful, it looks great, very quiet, but I will say this, you have to be in the right kind of mood to watch it. It's not going to scare you. Nothing in the movie scares you. It's just a good story and very well done. Van Helsing in this movie, actually, There's this one, my favorite part of this movie is this scene where Dracula tries to brainwash Van Helsing into serving him, but Van Helsing, his willpower is too strong, so Dracula couldn't control him, and it's a very suspenseful scene because they're just staring at each other, Dracula with his hand out trying to control him, Van Helsing crouching back trying to resist it. It's very intense. There's no music, but that just adds to it. It's silent, but you can just see in their faces the just intensity of their mental battle. It's just a very good scene. Definitely check that out. So, basically, what I'm saying is I highly recommend the movie. Have to be in the right mood. Very good scenes. One of my personal favorite old horror movies, and you should definitely check it out. I give Dracula 1931 4 out of 5 stars. It's very good. Not like amazingly scary or anything like that, but it's a very good movie. Some people might not like it, some people may like it, some people may like Nosferatu better, some people may like Bram Stoker's Dracula better, whatever works for you guys, but in my opinion, that's my favorite. Also, I really do hope that some of you guys check out the novel. It's very underappreciated in this modern day. It was very big back then, but nowadays you hardly see people ever reading it, and I don't know why, but basically the definitive Dracula story is in that book. It's on my chair if you're wondering. But anyway, check it out. Highly recommended. And stay tuned for another episode of Halloween Week. I'll be wearing a different costume each time, and leave a comment if you like these, subscribe if you like, and this is me saying later.